Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today I have for you a travesty of a game in the legendary tier heavy American cruiser USS Alaska, which was the recipient of a nerf in this most recent patch, and I'm here to tell you, first and foremost, that I don't think this was a very major nerf. The main aspects of the ship that were impacted, I believe, were the dispersion of its main battery, which was increased, that is, made less accurate by a large percentage, I think somewhere in the vicinity of 12%. And then there was a slight nerf to the Alaska's armor-piercing penetration, which prior to this point was excellent. In fact, these 305mm guns on the Alaska are probably some of the best guns in the game. They can do a crazy amount of damage, or at least they could before this nerf. So much damage that they could make a battleship jealous at times, and they could do it pretty consistently. Now, after the nerf, I think it's a little bit less consistent. The Alaska is not as ridiculously reliable as it was prior to this nerf, following its massive buff, but it's still fairly reliable, and it is still a massive damage dealer. So, all in all, I don't think the nerf really hurt it all that much, and to be frank, before this nerf, it was sort of in a state where you could say that it was quite overtuned. But you're going to see some stuff in this travesty of a game that will show you that the Alaska can still go toe-to-toe at the legendary tier and can still fulfill the same role that it fulfilled prior to this nerf. You're also going to be seeing me playing on this new map, which is called Shatter. And you're going to notice my team doing things exactly the wrong way. In fact, you could also call this video an example of how not to play this map. I suppose the enemy team isn't positioning all that well either, but they're eventually going to come out on top, and it's not even going to be close, and there's nothing that I am going to be able to do. Spoiler alert, so sorry. Anyway, you can see what we're doing in the Alaska right now is taking some pot shots at the enemy Alaska out there. We've got the sonar running. Twist and track is pointing off toward the right of the screen because there is a destroyer here. And thus I popped the sonar so that I could have advanced warning of any incoming torpedoes. Certainly not something that I want to be taking. And actually, this next sequence here with the enemy destroyer is quite amusing. This poor guy, I've never seen somebody flub a torpedo salvo at point-blank range like this unfortunate guy. I don't think he knew I was here. He could have known I was here. I was spotted. Maybe he did know I was here, but maybe he just got unlucky. Who knows? We all do. Here he is, though. It's the ZF-6. He's quite close. Suicidally close, in fact. Very, very close. So close that he could probably dev strike us with his 8 torpedoes. But is he going to do it? Well, he's certainly going to come around the corner. We're going to smack him for 5,700 with our armor piercing. Instantly switch to the high explosive, beach ourselves on this island, and kick it into reverse as quickly as possible. Guns are not quite yet reloaded. I do not have the reload buffed on this ship in any way, but here they are. And just like that, he's dead. He manages to miss all 4 of the torpedoes he launches at us, which is just as well for me, because I'm going to need every single one of these hit points. Meanwhile, as we have taken down an enemy destroyer, our team has lost our Friesland, and prior to that, we lost a battleship to a devastating strike, I do believe, from a Shimakaze, everybody's favorite destroyer at legendary tier. And as it stands, both teams are moving into the center of this map. The center of this map has sort of a ring of islands, you might say. And it seems like these guys are all hell-bent on crashing into this ring and brawling with each other, but don't let the presence of this ring of islands fool you. In fact, it's such a narrow and confined space that I don't think going straight into it with your entire team at the start of a game is necessarily the best possible thing you could do. which is why I alone am out here on the flank, and this is going to allow me to get the broadsides of a couple of ships, including that enemy Yamato out there who I have eyes for. But in order for us to do that, we are going to have to turn in and start heading for the enemy base. Being down 2 ships and the enemy team being down 1 destroyer, you might look at this and say, well, this appears to be anybody's game, right? It could go either way. My team could certainly push into the enemy and demolish them here, or the opposite could happen. And of course, since I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends, the opposite thing is going to happen. So as we make our trek toward the enemy base, I do think it is time to pause and give us a word from our sponsors for today's video. That's right, we've sold out yet again. This time we've created a partnership with George Dewey, a rock star of his time. George Dewey now has a line of craft beers called Dewey's Drafts. You can get one of these drafts. It's got 95% alcohol by volume, guaranteed to have you drunker than a skunk on New Year's Eve. If you would like a free supply of Dewey's Drafts for life, sent to you via snail mail over the Pacific Ocean, then I don't know why it would be sent to you over the Pacific Ocean, because Dewey is American, and if you're in America... Well, anyway, if you want a lifetime supply of Dewey's Drafts, simply like this video. Of course, that may turn you into an alcoholic if you do, but you have been warned. Now, can we take out this enemy Alaska out there, giving a fair amount of broadside to us? You'll notice that as these shells go toward that Alaska, they aren't exactly as accurate as maybe they once were previously, and that is a thing. That 12% Nerf to dispersion, it does make a... I don't want to say a substantial difference, but a substantial difference. The ship is not the pinpoint laser that I feel like it was before this nerf. Meanwhile, the entire friendly team has somehow been sunk, and there are only 3 ships left alive on the blue team, of which I am one. And the remaining 2 teammates of mine are 2 battleships right in the center of the map, parked near islands. I'm debating on popping the radar against the Yamato out here behind the island in front of me. It does appear that he has been giving, or he was giving, flat broadside to the friendly battleship directly in front of him. And I do ultimately pop the radar here, but I think it's too late. Perhaps if I had popped it sooner, the friendly battleship would have been able to take out that broadside Yamato, who, let me stress this again, was sitting broadside in front of that battleship for an inordinately long amount of time. Luckily, he is going to be sitting broadside before us. He's got his guns turned this way, though, which was a little bit of a shock to me when I was playing this game. I thought for sure he'd have them pointed at the battleship directly in front of him, but no, he does manage to hit us right there in the bow, overmatching our armor and chunking us for a little bit of hit points, as well as taking out one of our guns, which is kind of irritating because now we're on this weird reload cycle, and that certainly would have been a dev strike if both guns had shot simultaneously, but they didn't, so we have to wait a little bit longer to take the Yamato out. Still very easy, of course, to absolutely demolish a Yamato broadside to you in the Alaska. Quite a satisfying thing. Now, can we demolish this enemy Alaska in front of us as he's giving a little bit of broadside? And the answer appears to be not quite. We're not really allowed to hit his citadel here. We are allowed to chunk him for armor-piercing damage, but as you can see, he's managing to do the same to us in return, although we are ultimately able to take him out. Unfortunately, there's only 1 friendly battleship left alive on our team, and there is an enemy Yamato in our base. So I'm going to spend the next few moments of this game being, I suppose you could say, fairly indecisive. I probably should have made a more instant turn here and tried to get some shots on these guys. There's no way I'm making it back to the friendly base, at this point to stop the enemy battleship from capping it. And my battleship, well, he's nose in to 2 enemy ships. There's no way he can really disengage from this. One of those enemy ships is an Odin. So basically, his goose has been cooked. He is going down no matter what. And we just simply aren't going to have enough time to get back to the friendly base to even reset that enemy battleship, which means we're going to lose. And here you can see the contrast, I suppose, of what the entire team on both sides of the line, the red and the blue, did in this game versus what I did and what the enemy battleship did. Both of us apparently went to the flank, and that resulted in us having a mostly clear path to the enemy base. Only my team was composed of what I suspect are potatoes, and they were eliminated instantly. Nothing I could do about it. Even if I did reach the enemy base, the enemy reached our base before us, and as a result, they're going to cap us out, and we are going to lose this game, but we're going to get one more nice juicy shot on this Odin before it all ends. He's angled in toward us quite heavily, but the Alaska's AP remains fantastic, and we're able to chunk him for 10k, putting us up over 140,000 damage as a little consolation prize for the end of this travesty of a game. Typical legendary tier nonsense, I suppose. Anyway, I think the Alaska's fine after the nerf. I don't think the nerf was a big deal, really, to it, and frankly, it probably deserved it. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up if you want to win a free supply of Dewey's Drafts, which is totally not a fictional alcoholic beverage, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.